Hello everyone. The Chelsea Flower Show meets Fast and the Furious. Many white roses are rallying. The white roses are Yorkists. They are rallying around a person in a mask. The strange creature is wearing a mask because he is a pretender. The rebellion was an attempt to rally Yorkists around a pretender to the throne. A group of white flowers has surrounded a hen. How do flowers threaten a hen? Maybe the hen has a pollen allergy. Do chickens get hay fever? Does a shark have to hold its breath when it goes over water? Do chickens get human pox? I need to know these answers. There is the pretender, but he is not wearing a crown. He is wearing a chess pawn instead. The rebellion aimed to overthrow Henry and install someone else there. However, the pretender was a mere pawn in the game. The pretender has the body of a lamb with a SIM card on it. This is Lambert Simnel. A lamb is also a young sheep, and this individual was only 12. He was not a ringleader. If he can hang on to the SIM card for about half a millennia, it should come in handy for mobile gaming. The mask is on the head, with the word written on the head. This represents Edward. Lambert Simnel pretended to be Edward of Warwick, nephew of Richard III. A hen is attached to the throne by a weak, thin thread. The pretender is attached to the same throne by a strong, thick rope. I hope they do not try to have a game of tug of throne. Henry's claim to the throne through lineage was weak. The rebellion tried to expose this by using a pretender of someone who had a far greater claim by lineage. Here we see a rescue ox. The rotor adds to the ox because the spin makes a letter O and the shape of the blades makes an X. The rescue ox has found a stranded sheep in the ford of a river. A ford so shallow, I haven't even bothered drawing it. Lambert Simnel was discovered in Oxford. The yak has a white rose in its mouth because Oxford was a Yorkist stronghold. A punch bag and a gold-dressed dude. This lamb is in training. I hope there is a good montage. The man is in gold priest clothes because he is rich, and rich sounds like Richard. One of his hands is a SIM card, and the other is a diamond. He looks like a B-movie Bond villain. A SIM card and diamond represent Simmond. Lambert Simnel was discovered by his teacher, the priest Richard Simmond. Simmond thought he bore a resemblance to Richard's family and trained him in how to behave like them. A pearl on top of Abraham Lincoln. The weight of that hat and pearl must give him neck pains. Lambert Simnel was introduced to the Earl of Lincoln. The Earl used his money and influence to build the rebellion. Many historians believe the Earl of Lincoln wanted to take the throne for himself. This is a snowman giraffe. The snowman is wearing a sailor's hat for a trip across the sea. Seawater is pretty harmful to snowmen in the same way that molten lava is not an ideal skin moisturizer for humans. The giraffe below is extra tall to keep the snowman above water. The snowman's two round sections look like the number 8, and the head and long neck of a giraffe look like the number 7. So this makes 87. On board is a baby, engaging in its favourite pastime of crying. The baby represents January, because both are new. Lambert Simnel was sent to Ireland by the Earl of Lincoln in January 1487. This all looks very Telly Gillingham. These are two flying cities. One is actually a copy of the other. Yes, one is a double. This is because this is Dublin. Instead of windows, the buildings have eyes. This is because this is the land of eyes. This is Ireland. Lambert Simnel went to Dublin, Ireland. Whoa, I wouldn't mess with this fella. On the right is a Dirty Harry-inspired sign. Go ahead, make my day. The sign is pointing at an axe. On this person's t-shirt is written, I dare you. He is daring people to try and kill him. He is Kildare. He is holding up a ruler with 2 eyes at each end. I do not want to know how he got 2 eyeballs on each end of a blunt ruler. The eyes and ruler represent that he was the de facto ruler of Ireland. Above the ruler is a pearl. This guy is also an earl. So the Earl of Kildare was the de facto ruler of Ireland. Kildare is crowning our pretender. The crown has dice in it. Dice go up to 6. The Earl of Kildare crowned the imposter Edward VI. Kildare is very big on dice. He gives Edward a super dice of 4.5 eyes. This might be the most dice-tastic coronation in history. Each eye represents 1,000 Irish soldiers. Kildare gave 4,500 Irish soldiers to Lambert Simnel's cause. This lady looks very tubtastic. I count 5 tubs. They're all tubs of margarine. However, the margarine is a burgundy dark red. I do not want to imagine how you make dark red margarine. Let's hope it's made with fruit. Burgundy margarine. This must be Margaret of Burgundy. Out of a maiden tub is a big white rose. Can you grow a rose out of margarine? Science, sort it out. Margaret of Burgundy was a staunch Yorkist. She was the daughter of Edward IV. She is on top of a huge flan. I hope it can support her weight. Flans do not have a reputation for integrity. You can see the flan trying to keep its composure and that bead of sweat trickling down its sponge forehead. Margaret of Burgundy was in Flanders. There is a samurai helmet with the letter V on it. If you snap that V in two, you could use it as two-handed knives to spread some burgundy margarine with. The V has a discount on it, 20% off. The discounted V represents that this is a Viscount. His pet owl is trying to eat the flan. The Viscount loves his pet owl. He is Viscount Lavelle. We can also see the Earl of Lincoln. Viscount Lavelle and the Earl of Lincoln went to Flanders to meet Margaret of Burgundy. Next to the flan, we can see a super robot soldier with a pickelhaube, a 19th century German helmet. Margaret throws in an extra present. Yes, you guessed it, a swan telepathically juggling 3 gold rings. It sounds like a line from the future version of 12 Days of Christmas. The swan looks like the number 2, and each hoop represents a 0, so this makes 2,000. Margaret of Burgundy gave them 2,000 skilled German mercenaries to support the rebellion. She sent them to Ireland. This looks very Loch Ness Monster, but with a slight difference. This one is furry, so we shall call it the Furness Monster. You can see the German and Irish soldiers hitching a ride on the Furness Monster, along with Lambert Simnel. Beat that, Loch Ness! Lambert Simnel travelled back from Ireland to the northwest coast of England with his Irish and German soldiers. He arrived at Furness. This is what Cliff Richard should have included in the film's summer holiday. Here is a tour bus with Lambert Simnel and his gang of eyes. Lambert Simnel toured England for 2 weeks before facing Henry in battle. He toured to try and drum up support from Yorkists. We can see a stage. Henry is displaying something. It is a head with the word written on the head. It looks like the Pretender, or rather the Pretender looks like this fella, as this person is not in a mask. Henry put the real Edward of Warwick on display to prove that Lambert Simnel was a pretender to the throne. A king chess piece has a furnace inside of it. We can use the king chess piece to represent a battle. It has its own set of logs to stoke its fire with. This self-stoking king chess piece represents the Battle of Stoke, where Henry and Lambert Simnel's forces fought. The snowman giraffe is anti-furnace for logical reasons. It is trying to put it out with snowballs, but snowballs are not going to work against that. So they use their June monster. The June monster is so big, its eyes are the sun and moon. Very old school story. It puts out the fire with its sand. Snowman giraffe represents 87, and the sand June monster represents the month of June. The Battle of Stoke was in June 1487. It's seesaw time! Let's weigh up each side literally. On Henry's side, we have a Grand Old Duke of York with an extra head. If a Grand Old Duke of York is 10,000 men, then one with an extra head represents 12,000 men. Lambert's side has a headless one. This represents 8,000 men. However, the seesaw is quite balanced. This is because the robot-powered German soldier is holding it level. The forces were evenly matched as the German mercenaries were very skilled. The headless Grand Old Duke of York is down. A hen is on top wearing a hat with a pearl on it. A scalp. This looks very pro-wrestling. A man with a samurai hat is running towards a rocket with a V symbol on it. I'm not sure if that rocket is aerodynamic enough. Henry's forces prevailed. The Earl of Lincoln was killed on the battlefield and Viscount Lavelle escaped. The Pretender is wearing a cook's hat. He will cook anything except mutton. Henry recognised that Lambert Simnel was no more than a pawn in this game. He spared him and made him work in his kitchens. A robot traffic warden. Believe me, that job will be be automated sooner than you think. He is giving out fines. Nobody is ever fined when they get a fine. Why don't they rename fines and call them angries instead? The traffic warden is giving fines to White Roses. Henry punished Yorkist leaders with fines instead of arrests. This strange hand peace sign hangs over the fallen furnace king chess piece. This symbolises the end of the Battle of Stoke. The hand ends in a white rose and a red rose. Many historians see the Battle of Stoke as the true end of the War of the Roses. A person is holding a radio control unit. On the radio control unit are the flags of countries that I have invented. The radio control is making our pretender do backflips and cartwheels. Lambert Simnel relied on a large foreign army, so many English did not support him because they thought he was a puppet for foreign interests. A man in a flat cap and a long brown jacket is standing with his pet whippet. How could you get any more classic northern? He has a peace sign and the word "Aye" above his head. The eyes have it. The north of England was made poor by the War of the Roses. Many people in the north did not support Lambert Simnel because they did not want any more fighting. A hen is giving away painted eggs to White Roses. Painting your own and giving them away. Don't ask me, I think it's odd too. Henry had treated the Yorkist nobles well after Bosworth. He executed very few and gave many chances to redeem themselves and regain power and wealth by supporting him. This is another reason why very few Yorkists felt desperate enough to fight against Henry. This looks like The Lion King meets Highlander. I would watch that movie. If a low threat is a kitten in a stocking and a medium threat is a lynx with a taser, then the Lambert Simnel Rebellion is a lion with a broadsword, a high threat. It has a good chance of taking you out of the game altogether. The Battle of Stoke was a hard-fought battle that Henry could have lost, but in the end was victorious. The rally cars have all crashed. This is because they got driving instructors from someone who is too young to drive. They cannot rally around him. At 12, Lambert Simnel was not the charismatic leader to rally supporters with. And that is the Lambert Simnel Rebellion. One idea: try watching this video again with the sound off. You might be surprised by just how much you can easily remember. This style of learning is much more efficient and effective than standard rote learning. If you want to remember history facts for a test and ace the test, stick with this method. You will not be sorry. If you like the content, please hit the like button and please feel free to comment. If you want to make sure that you don't miss out on any further content like this, please hit the subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. As always, until next time, I'm Wacky Historian. History made easy. Thanks for visiting.